What if I told you that the first 90 weeks in your tech career could make your entire career, not just the 90 days, not just the first 90 days? Yeah, hi, my name is Femias and I'm your host here at the Cyber Cafe. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here we speak tech in a relatable language, in the everyday man's language, so everyone can understand. So we break down concepts that help you to figure out where you're at in your tech career and what tips you could use to improve whatever you are doing. So today I just want to share something I wish I had known earlier, and how to make your first 90 weeks in tech really count. Yeah, so I know that very many times we use the first 90 days. This is very common in very many other fields, however not in tech. And so if you are just beginning, or you are switching careers, or you are really deep in the chaos of trying to figure things out, this video is for you. So let's get right into it. So you've probably heard about the first 90 days of everything, right? And how you can work around those few months to get yourself grounded in any field. But here's the truth: tech takes more time. It is a very slow curve that you might not even realize time pass by. It may not just take you a few months of surviving, because it's for growing, it's for evolving, it's for becoming more confident and learning things that you thought you already knew. So this might span across the first 90 weeks, which is probably about 2 years. So I know it's not a very common concept, but there's so many curves, there's so much unlearning to do, many late nights, many sacrifices, many small wins that you need to do. So because of that, I realized that after 2 years in the tech field, I was no longer the same. It took me about 2 years to start being confident about speaking on the things I thought I knew, or to even have the confidence to go out and advocate for cybersecurity, or to say that I have certain competences. So I would like to bring you on that journey with me. I hope that it also adds value, or if there is something that resonates with you, please welcome to this video. So let me break it down for you around the first 30 weeks, or half a year, or a little bit more. You find yourself Googling everything. I found myself listening to very many acronyms, very many short-term words, like what's a CI/CD pipeline, then you have to Google it, then you hear containers, you're hearing API gateways, you're hearing so many words that you just cannot keep it down. So you are just trying not to drown in this period. So with all the new words you are hearing, and you Google everything because you don't know, and that's okay. I think the one thing I kept reminding myself is you are allowed to be new here. And this phase, we can call it the survival mode, yeah, because you're really trying to just get everything together. So in this phase, it's best not to chase perfection. You need to chase understanding. You need to ground yourself. You're just trying to absorb information, take in everything. You know, there's also culture shock because nobody tells you these things. So you want to be able to get yourself, be like a sponge that just keeps taking in, learn, ask questions. This is your phase to allow yourself, because I think the challenge we have is we are trying so much to look like we know everything. When someone talks about patching and you don't know what that is, in this mode, in this survival mode, you're allowed to ask every question. Every question is valid. I remember sometimes I used to ask my mentor questions, and I think he used to wonder, what are you doing here if you don't know that? But he was graceful enough to answer. I think people will always wonder why you're asking, but the truth is that you don't know. And there will be a time when you not knowing these things is almost unacceptable. So maybe the thing you can do in that period is to document the things you are learning, the small classes you're taking, but also this is the season for you to learn even the simplest concepts, how to use GitHub, how to push code, or if you are into security, how to install your own software, make the mistakes. In this period, everyone is willing to help you. So you are allowed to do your thing and make mistakes along the way. You will always make mistakes, but in the survival mode, it's like the universe sends you helpers to also kind of show you around. Yeah, so I remember going for different boot camps. I remember just clearing my mind and telling myself, you are here, you don't know, learn everything that you can. Of course, I'm not saying that be confused and be all over the place, but once you figure out that you need something, find where you can learn it and then go with an open mind to learn. So in those first 30 weeks or half a year, that's survival mode, in my opinion, in these 90 weeks that we're looking at. So yeah, in the second week, we can call it the contribution mode. Now, in this season of the next after 31 to 60 weeks, that's probably going into the second year, you have now started contributing meaningfully in conversations, on projects. You probably even had a chance to lead one of a mini project. Maybe you've started to get the hang of it, and now some little confidence is starting to kick in. So this is when you start to fix some bugs, you start to troubleshoot meaningfully without necessarily breaking stuff. You are trying to automate something, you're trying to create. So in this period, now you have got tools, you have got skills, you have got some confidence, and you're able to actually offer a helping hand on different things. So this is when you start to also discover the niche that you're interested in, right? So are you like, if you're in development, software development, is it front end that you like more? Is it UI, UX? Are you interested more in backend? Is it DevSecOps? Or you would rather be a project manager? So in that season, that's when I realized I really love security. I got myself into school. Now here you are able to invest. There is a video that we did about how to get into a tech career or a tech field. So this is when you are now able to sacrifice a big chunk of money to get yourself into a school, to get into a course, to kind of commit to maybe a certification if you've been doing hands-on. So in this phase, you are able to lean in and explore the different ways, the different things that you've been drawn to. Because I know that's when I was pulled to security. That's when I finished my first fundamentals. I started to contribute in Catch the Flag. I opened up an account on Hack the Box. And at that time now, I was able to contribute meaningfully. And whenever I went for boot camps or for hackathons, for example, I didn't refer to myself as a developer. I always told my teammates that I am here as a cybersecurity specialist. And so whenever we had projects or whenever we were giving in our submissions for competitions, I always introduced myself as a security person. And I remember the team I was on was always the only one that had a cybersecurity person. Yeah, at that time I was calling myself a cybersecurity specialist. Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about. The curve is a bit different in the tech field than the other fields. Yes, so now that we have gotten to the point of contributing meaningfully, you are almost a year into your tech career. You are no longer fumbling and gambling with words. So now you start to see that you're no longer really a beginner, and we can call this the strategic mode. So you can say you start to see the bigger picture of what you want to do, of where you want to go. Your plan starts to to kind of piece together, and you understand, maybe you understand architecture diagrams, you understand things from the ground up, you are able to meaningfully ask questions that nudge someone to do what you want, or to get what you want in whatever tech space you're in, if it's networking or in system admin or in development or whatever it is. Maybe you're leading a team. At that point, you've been trusted with a team. Yes, so maybe you're even mentoring some interns, or you are able to give talks on panels. So you are in that phase where you can train someone on something. And by the way, the one thing about tech is that the more you share knowledge, the more you learn. But also, for you to get to that point, it's not about learning everything. It's about you learning something and being able to share with someone. For example, you might not know how to use Metasploit. This is a tool we use in cybersecurity, but you might know how to install Kali Linux. This is one of the operating systems that we use. This is good for cybersecurity. So maybe someone is trying to just join and they need you to show them how to install Kali Linux. So you don't have to know everything that is in Kali to help someone else. So the more you share, the more you learn. So in this phase, you can actually do that with the few things or with the many things that you have learned. This is the season where you start to refine your goals. You start to organizing your CV. You know, where they say that you have a lot of experience, but some experience might not be relevant for certain roles. So in this season is when you start to refine your CV to point to that thing that you have started to feel that makes sense to you. And then you can also start to build your personal brand. Yes, this is also good. You could start building your personal brand anytime, but in this phase you start to refine your LinkedIn. You start to maybe write some blog posts, maybe attend panel discussions. You can speak at events. You can call yourself the role that you are getting yourself into, and at that time you are mostly thinking about how to bring impact. So you are no longer caught up in the day-to-day of being too scared to make mistakes, because you have made so many mistakes at this time and you are able to account to most of them, and you are also able to get back from them. Yes, you will always gloss over the mistakes you've made. I'll tell you that so many times you make a mistake and you just cannot believe it's you who made that mistake, because you now know better, but you will not gloss over it the way you used to. Maybe if it used to take you 3 days to get over something that you did, you could take a day or a few hours in this season. And everyone always still makes mistakes. So but in this season of the strategic mode, you're trying to figure out how can you solve more problems, how can you create impact, how can you build more, how can you make lasting impressions. Also, you learn in this season how to advocate for yourself, and that means that you are able to let go of some projects. If you're like a developer, you are able to say no to certain things that probably might require you to let go of some work to be able to accommodate them. You are no longer pulled to everything now. Remember, there was a season where you were almost everywhere, but in this season now you are more refined and you are able to speak what you need. If someone is stepping on your toes, or if you contributed something, you are able to stand up and say, that was my contribution, or this is what we did on this, and this is how I contributed on this project. So you are able to start confidently advocating for yourself, and that will take you at least 2 years to get there. Now, that's not to say that it can't happen sooner. Depending on the environment you're in, you could have a span which is shorter than that, but also it could even be longer depending on the environment you're in or the project you've got a chance to contribute to, or even the people around you and how they support you. But also it could be you letting yourself to fail enough times so you can see yourself evolve. Maybe the best thing you can do is document some of these things through videos like this, or through chats, or through collaboration teams and Slack channels. through different small projects on GitHub. You'll see yourself when you look back, you're like, oh, I did that, I built that small calculator, I did this, and that's your contribution, and that's how you see yourself evolve along the 90 weeks. Yeah, so along this period, and I've been in tech for about, now it's coming to 5 to 6 years, but I'm still growing and I'm still learning. But in those first few years, there's so many mistakes you will make. Some will be common across other people, some will be personal depending on your personality and your season. But I do find that there are 3 lessons or 3 mistakes that I made back then, and that was assuming that I was going to learn everything quickly and I would get it as soon as possible and I would be good to go. And that frustrated me so much because I was not learning as fast as I wanted to. So the advice I could give you right now is to take it easy, break it down into small concepts, learn a thing or 2. You could, depending on how you learn, you could break it in 2 weeks. Also depending on the workload you have, because you might be in another role and trying to get into a different role. So be easy on yourself, but also not too easy. Yeah, find a balance. So just know that it will not happen in one day. And so when you know that, then you'll break things down in small chunks over a long period of time, and then you will learn them very well, because it would be a mistake for you to think that you've got it and yet you've not got it. Then the other mistake that I noticed myself do was overworking or overly trying to prove myself that I belong in this field. Yeah, so I realized it took me long to realize that people just don't actually care. People just don't care. People just want you to deliver. So whether you speak so well, whether you should be able to speak, but you get what I mean. So the idea is, don't overly try to prove yourself. Just do what you need to do and go home. Yes, sometimes there will be times when you need to sacrifice. I know there are nights where we would work longer. There are times when we would go to different places or farther, and so those are normal sacrifices. But there are times when you're overcompensating to show that you belong in this field. So that was a mistake I think I shouldn't have made. So even the other thing that I realized is that I didn't track so many things that I did back then, to the extent that I didn't even know that they were extraordinary. Yeah, I have a personality that downplays so many things, because maybe you work too hard to get to that point, and then by the time you achieve that thing, it's no longer that special. So documenting your small wins and realizing that you worked so hard for them, but also being able to look back and say, I did A, B, C, and D, because in this field people only believe in seeing results. So I missed so many chances, and even being reviewed or trying to get, let's say someone wants to do a pen test on their tool, I always thought maybe we could do that for free because I'm learning. So it is very important to know when it's time to move to the next phase, like we talked about the mods that we've just mentioned. But also I learned so many things along the way, that as a woman in tech, it helps so much to learn the skill. Not even just women, everyone. It helps so much to be able to do what you are saying you can do, and to be able to take up what you can chew, then find what you don't know. Find where you can get the knowledge to do what you don't know. Then also to ask for feedback. It's best to ask for feedback early and quite often. Of course, when you are ready, don't ask for feedback when you're all emotional or sad, but try to get to know, how did I perform on that project ended. Give a report and request for feedback. It's very important to get maybe criticism, but also to get feedback on how you are improving and where there's still room for improvement. So I learned that along the journey as well. Then I also learned that tech is very collaborative. you can really not do everything. You can't do everything on your own. So you just need to be able to ask the right questions. You need to have the right people, and somehow that's where networking comes in, because you need to be able to refer to the right person. If someone needed something from me that is tech related, but I can't do it, I have no business accepting that project. But if I know someone else who can do it, then it's best that they get to do it, or that I call them and they get to do it. And then if you have those kind of resources on call and they can be trusted, that's your pool of influence. So I learned so much that you have to collaborate with very many other people in the field, not just think that you can do everything. So you always need to, you don't always have all the answers, but you can have pool of people that have the answers. Yeah, so those are the other things that I learned along the way. So now that we've looked at the different phases in the first 2 years, we've looked at the lessons that we learned and also the mistakes that we could make. Here some of the advice that I could give you if you are just starting, or you are switching careers, and you are already in the field, you're trying to build your personal brand, or you see that your curve has taken longer. Here's what you should know. I believe so much in keeping a learning journal, and it doesn't have to be paper. Of course, if you can write in a book, that's good, but if you have a channel where you put your learnings, or if you are contributing to projects, you can see your growth. It doesn't matter whatever platform you're learning from. Is it Hack the Box? Is it, I don't know, wherever you're learning, try and keep that learning journal, because it helps to boost your confidence. It helps you to keep track of what you have learned and what has challenged you and where you need help. So it's important to keep that and know that you are not perfect, but you're on a journey. So find your people. That's the second thing. Find the people that will speak into your journey. Get a mentor. Find someone that will help you review your CV. It can get so lonely in technology, because even your friends might not understand why you're doing what you are doing, why you are lost. They cannot see you anymore, and you are lost. You are debugging in the night and you have to go to work the next day. So you need to have a community of people that might understand your field, or might understand what you're doing. If you're a lady in tech and you're juggling family and everything, you need to ground yourself in community. Go to places where people are collaborating, go for conferences, go for these small meetups, fireside catch-ups. Find your tribe. And then the other thing is fear is a real thing. However, it doesn't have to be very magnified. So don't let fear silence you. If you feel that you have a contribution, or you have a suggestion, or you have contributed something, you speak up. Of course, respectfully share your ideas. Ask why. Understand, maybe the suggestion you've given, it's too futuristic and there's no budget, or it's just not the time for it. Ask and understand why. If you are respectful, people will always answer your questions with respect. But if you are trying to be insubordinate and trying to go overboard, then people will get an attitude towards you, and even when you ask questions, it will come off insubordinate. So try and build the attitude that can allow you to break that fear around you. Then the other thing is to explore different options. We spoke in that video about how to break into the tech field. It's very important to have your passions aligned with what you're choosing to do. So explore the different options. You could have 3 options, like we said, and then choose what speaks mostly to you, especially in those first 30 weeks. You can figure out if you want to be in data analysis, you want to be in cybersecurity, you want to be networking. any field that you want in that period. Explore and then specialize. It's very important to figure out what you want to do earlier on than later, because it becomes a season where you say, I used to do ABC and D, I used to do this, I used to do that, but at the end of the day, you're not doing any of those 50 things that you used to do. So it's important to figure out things at least within 10 weeks or even 20 weeks to figure out what you want to do, but you will not have it all figured out at once. So I think it's Robert Kiyosaki that was saying, know a little bit about a lot. So if you know a little bit about a lot, by the time you choose to specialize, you're able to put the concepts together. Then the last thing that you should know is to protect your energy, really. You know, it's very easy to get discouraged, very, very easy, and also to get burnout, to get tired, or there are times when you're trying to install something, you're trying to learn something, and it's just not working. Go to bed, rest, and come back tomorrow. Or if you feel like what you're doing is not working, take a walk, go out with your friends. It's not going to be the end of the day. You come back tomorrow and try again. The whole point is don't stop, but know when it's time to first go away from that desk and come back tomorrow. For those who know how annoying finding bugs in software can be, you understand what I mean. So I think that's also important, but definitely to allow yourself that kind of leeway or freedom is to do things in time, so you can be able to have that wiggle room. If you're having challenges on the last day and it's the deadline, you will not be able to walk away and come back. You will not be able to take a break, so you will definitely make mistakes and you will deliver something which is not nice. So yeah, those are the things I think you should know. And so yeah, that's the advice I would give you. Yeah, now tell us in the comment section, what phase are you in, and I'd love to know how your journey is going, if this video has been helpful to you, and if there are some things that you feel that we could have addressed in the first 2 years of your tech career. Please share them in the comment section. Of course, we request you to subscribe. This helps us to also get these tips to the other people around the world who need this kind of tips. Share with your friend who is in tech or who is trying to figure things out. And until next time, I'm Femias. Bye.